zones in Madden 16. All right, here we go. Good question here from Arc Ground Game. Can you review Madden 16 zones and then preview 17 zones? So I'm in Madden 16 right here. I am on the defensive side of the ball. And if we take a look, we'll see, the zones that we have. All the blue ones here are deep zones. And I would say this year, deep zones at the start of the year weren't that great. They could get beat deep, and there's still a point at this season where I think they drop down a little bit too much, and you have those shot plays that can get behind them. So Madden 16, my review on deep zones, I give them a 7 out of 10. Most of the time they do their job. But for the bulk of things, I think they work really well with two-man under, but they're not as great as in true zone coverage. That's why you'll see me drop a purple every now and then if I want to defend the corner. Now, a curl to flat zone, what it's going to do is play the curl. It's not a corner zone. There's no such thing as a corner zone. That's probably the biggest mistake that people make hey man, I put a corner zone, go throw to Greg Olsen here, show Greg Olsen's route. So Greg Olsen's on that. I put a purple there. He goes and stands there, but that's not his job.
His job is
not to play the corner route, the corner zone. It just
visually, it makes you think he's supposed to, visually.
Correct. So you've got that. You've got a hook, which plays the middle, or kind of just plays the area where you put it. One thing we like to do that's kind of a hook secret is you put 3, base the line twice, get him to fan out a little bit. You have the flat zone, which you kind of have this flat zone, and then you have this flat zone. So this flat zone, because he's on the outside, it tends to line up and stay out a little more, where this one, he
has to get there.
He's got to run out there. He doesn't always run out initially. He kind of backs up and looks, and then he goes. Now, one thing we show is with the right stick, which is Y, and then flick down on the right stick, you can get that flat zone to play underneath. And so it actually plays down a little bit. You can kind of pick off some quick throws. Throw a quick throw to RB here. We'll show the difference between... And they backed off a little. They didn't quite get there. But if you push Y and right stick down, you get a little more depth in your flat zone.
I find that the best, flat zones play the best in those situations, underneath.
Yeah.
If they come from the linebacker position, on the line of scrimmage. So, if you drop, a linebacker, they go the 1-4-6, I find that underneath coverage, they work the best in it. Because they're really close to that player, so, they recognize him.
Yes.
So they, are like, ooh, I must go to that guy. He's an immediate threat.
So... Before we look at Madden 17 zones, which we have the blog up here,
we should pull it up on that so they can look at them.
We should do that. Yes, we will work on that. The biggest kind of secret right here is these are hook zones, right? But watch, if I redo this guy to a hook zone, he's not on a hook zone anymore. He's on a different hook zone. So the standard play art has a nice spread out hook zones. This guy, he's going to drop super deep in the seam. I mean, look how much deeper that is if I just put him on a little yellow with myself.
Right.
Or if I put him over here and put him on a hook, look where he goes. He goes there. So there's some cover 2 ones where they play the deep middle. And these are kind of just built in, but notice it doesn't say anything. You don't really know. You only really know after you master kind of the game a little bit, right?
Same thing with the deep zone.
Same thing with the deep zone. This deep zone, he's here, but he's going over there. This flat's never going to get out there.
Well, that deep zone, the deep safety there, he's playing a third coverage.
Right.
When you hot route a deep zone, they play quarters coverage. There's a difference. They play a cover 4 style coverage.
Right.
They break he's playing a quarters coverage versus a stock cover 3. They're going to play a third of the field.
Right. So he's in a deep quarters. He's playing the middle. So if this was cover 4, you can make your own by doing this.
You can make your own cover 4 and then hot route Harris. Yeah.
And now he's
so that's what cover 4 play art looks like.
Right.
So when you hot route him, they play a quarters assignment, which is also really important to know.
Right.
And this is a different type of coverage. The deep safeties now they're playing half coverage. So not all deep zones are created equal.
Indeed, that's good. That's a good thing to notice. These guys are playing half the field because it's cover 2. So that's kind of the tutorial Arc Ground Game on zone coverage for 16. You can bring this up over here. We'll find...
You on GChat?
This article, not on this computer.
Type in Madden 17 zone coverage. Should come up for you. Zone coverage.
Now, what is the biggest things you notice as we pull this blog up?
I think the biggest difference is the number of zones that you're going to have and like the different type of options that you're going to have at your disposal. There's so many different varieties of zones, and one thing I'll say that I'm very happy to see that they've shown already in some of these screens is the introduction back again into the gameplay of having curl to flats buzz zones, aka purple zones, in stock plays. It was once in the game, and it kind of got removed over the past year or two, and now it's back in. And I find that's one of the biggest changes, and one of the things that, as a hardcore player myself, I love seeing. Like you see right there on that first screen.
Right, you see those built into the plays. Now, there's new zone coverage logic. That's going to change a lot. That's a story for another video. It's all going to be a long time, but the progression reads and the pattern matching is going to be intense. But as far as just like actual zone assignments, the biggest difference I see from what we just showed is the writing on the zones. So now you see cloud flat. You see mid read, which is kind of what we talked about, but you wouldn't really know, right? So now you have these vertical hooks, which are going to run vertical. You see the deep zones kind of in the same way. You've got the cloud flat, which makes the player responsible for protecting the outside deep and short areas of cover 2. His priority is to protect against deep outside routes first, and then rally to short outside routes second. You can attack it with curl flats. Now, you then have the hard flat, which is what we showed. You can change your coverage underneath to kind of get that. But you'll see here, this is an actual different zone. You got the soft squat. You've got, with the hard flat, the player's going to have more of a priority against short routes. He's not going to drop his deep and then rally. He's just kind of going to chill more and play down more. And then lastly, the soft squat, you've got the flat zone. So this is used in 2 deep, 4 under zone blitzes. The soft squat player, based on the route concept ran by the offense, has the ability to convert to man coverage. So the soft squat player has the ability to jump certain route types of out-breaking routes by inside receivers. Thus, defensive players where a soft squat player is present are sometimes referred to as trap covers.
In that conversion of the defender, I think is going to be kind of like a wow moment. Like when people start playing, it'll be really interesting to see how people kind of react to that style of matching defenses.
So we'll keep it going here. You see the curl flats are still in there, but now you actually have the quarters flat. The zone assignment is used by outside edge players. The quarter flat player, based on the route concept by the offense, can match certain out-breaking routes by an inside receiver, and it can carry vertical routes by an inside receiver. You've also got the seam flat there, which is a zone assignment used by outside edge players in cover 3 and 3 deep under. The seam flat player, based on the route concept by the offense, can match certain out-breaking routes and can convert to man coverage against vertical routes by an inside receiver. So if you ever put a purple zone out there because you thought the tight end was going to run a corner route, and he ended up running a streak, and your guy went outside and the tight end got inside.
Yep.
Well, now you can actually do the seam flat and play that chess game.
Right. So what all this is saying, and it's something that this is like for the most hardcore, is there are more tools now that are at your fingertips, and it's really going to test your knowledge of gameplay situations and your knowledge of your opponent. Because if you do know you like your opponent, that your opponent likes to go to a corner pattern, but what if he's in verticals? It's a great time to go in and run that seam flat, because that's going to give you best of both worlds. Like, no longer will people be able to hide behind like that ability of like, oh, you don't have the options in the game. Like, it's all there, baby. Like, go in this blog and read the meat and potatoes of it.
Yeah, check out more of this blog. Somebody asked what type of hook zones are there. That's got this question. Hot routes, question from Ben Hove. It talks a little bit about that in the user mechanics section here, about how you can hot route some of these. There's a lot there. And I think the biggest difference is going to be like, who's going to pay attention, right? We just kind of went over like, hey, here's what you think this purple zone means, or here's what this hook is and why it's different than a different hook.
You should save this blog.
Correct, because on day one...
Bookmark this blog.
Correct. Here's the thing, Johnny.
I'm going to tweet this out and tell people to bookmark this blog.
Johnny, you're going to say this is the year I learned the game and I go through Skills Trainer and I take the time and I go in the lab the first week the game's out and I get a scheme and I start winning online games. But Johnny, the fact of the matter is you're going to pre-order the game, you're going to get it, you're going to be so excited and your friend's going to come over and you're going to be like, hey, you want to go in practice mode? Your friend's like, come on, man, we just got it. Come on, let me play with the Pats. Let me throw to Gronk. Let me make bad habits. You're not going to go in and spend the time learning the zones and looking at it and find the differences that first week. Then you're going to lose, and then you're going to blame the game. But you can't do that because we just showed you all the zone coverages you're going to have available to you. So don't be that guy. You can take the time. You can learn now. There's some really good game changer videos, guys that capture footage at EA Play of some of the zone coverage. You guys should go watch their stuff, and you should just kind of be lurking the channels, lurking the EA Madden channels to learn more about zone coverage. So it's big stuff. It's big stuff, but don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.